well, we can go ahead and get started and make sure that we're being conscious of everyone's time. And we thank everyone for joining this evening. My name is Keely Ashman. I am the I am the Assistant Director of Alumni and Corporate Relations here in the CEE at Illinois Department. Just want to welcome everyone and say thanks again to our alumni for joining us this evening to talk about what an amazing program CEE is. I want to thank the students and or parents that might be on the call. Hopefully you can leave tonight with some additional information that maybe you didn't know before, hopefully with a great sense of what kind of department we are and some of the things that we offer here. So first, I would like to go around and have our alumni panelists introduce themselves and just basically, if you want to tell where you currently are working, what year you graduated from the U of I, and perhaps what area of specialization you focus on. Christine, you want to start us off?
Sure. Hello, everybody. My name is Christine Dahl. I'm a 2015 graduate from the Civil Engineering program. I specialized in construction management and what was the other? Structural engineering. I'm forgetting the
that would have been my guess.
Parts of my degree. I currently work at HKA, which is a business and litigation consulting firm. So I took a little bit of a non-traditional path post-college, but I specifically work on construction disputes, and we provide our clients with schedule delay analysis and economic damages analysis for contractors, owners, et cetera, who are involved in construction disputes.
Perfect, thank you. John?
Okay, hello everybody. My name is John Koss. Oh, sorry, did you want Popovich or me?
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
That was totally my fault.
Okay, I'll start then. John Koss, I'm a 1977 graduate. And I used to say 76 until I realized 77 makes me a year younger. So that's what I'm going with that one now. In transportation, I spent most of my career in government transportation agencies in Illinois. I retired from government 7 years ago, went to work for a consulting firm called Lochter, and that's what I do right now. I am the past president of the Civil and Environmental Engineering Alumni Association. So I'm still on the board, and it's a very dynamic and active board, and we appreciate everything everybody does for it. So thank you, welcome.
Thank you, John. Guillermo, do you want to go next?
Sure, thank you. Yeah, so my name is Guillermo Espanas. I am a graduate from the master's program in civil and environmental engineering. My specialty was structural engineering. During that time, I had the opportunity to be exposed to research and really broaden what I thought I was going to be doing in Illinois. So it kind of threw me to a whole new world of new things that I could do. And while I started my career in a very traditional way, working for a global engineering firm called WSP, where I worked all over the world, really, in engineering, design, and consulting. Right now, I'm working at the Public-Private Infrastructure Advisory Facility of the World Bank Group, helping emerging markets and developing economies integrate climate resilience and disaster resilience into policy for infrastructure. So just to give you a little taste of something else that is non-traditional, like Christine mentioned. Nice to be here. And also, I think something very important, I'm also part of the Younger Engineering Division, which is part of the alumni. Thank you, John, for reminding me with your face that I had to also say that.
Thank you, Guillermo. Guillermo also won our Young Achievement Award in 2019.
That sounds right. Thank you.
Yep. All right, Kim, you want to go next?
Sure, thank you. My name is Kim Cummins. I graduated with a bachelor's in civil engineering in 1998. I came into U of I as a transfer student my junior year, and it was a very good transition from me. I had a great junior college, had a good base. And so I had actually spent 3 years at U of I getting my bachelor's degree, because I was also, I want to mention, part of, at the time, it was the pilot program for the technology and management program. And I believe now it's called the HOFT Technology and Management Program. It's I was just really intrigued by it. I was very excited to be accepted into that program. And what it is, it's now a minor. You can get an official minor with your degree. And so it's half engineering students and half business students. And you take courses that are like, business students take courses in engineering geared towards them. And engineering students take some business classes geared towards them. So their curriculum is designed specifically for them. And then there's a few classes where you take together with the business students and you work on real life solutions for real problems for real companies. And I just thought that was so exciting. I thought someday maybe I'll have my own company, and I'm learning a little bit about the business side of it. Because so anyway, long story short, I graduated. I went to work at IDOT in Springfield for District 6 for 16 years. And during that time, I had met my husband, married him, and he had a firm, Cummins Engineering. And he convinced me, I need you to come over and help. And so I thought, I don't know if we can work together, and all kinds of issues like that. But I did the leap of faith and came over here in 2013. So it's been 7 years now, 8 years. And a couple years after that, I was learning a little bit more of the business side. Some of my background from the technology and management program I did really was handy for me. And I loved the blend of engineering and business together. And so I'm the CEO. We've been growing our company. We do transportation, so roadways, bridges, a little bit of environmental. And so I feel like I had just the best solid foundation to end up where I am now today. So, and my emphasis in my degree was transportation and construction management. So thank you.
Thank you, Kim. All right, last but not least, Liz.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Elizabeth Walde. I graduated with my bachelor's in 2012. And as Kim mentioned, I also did the HOF Technology and Management program, and can kind of reiterate all the positive things that she said about it. And then I got my master's with the Global Leaders in Construction Management program and finished that up in 2013. Currently, I work for ExxonMobil at the Joliet refinery, and I do project management type of work.
Wonderful. Thanks again to all of our alumni. I really appreciate you all taking the time to be here this evening. Real quick, before we jump into questions, I would like the staff to introduce themselves as well. Anna, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Ana Barros. I'm the CEE department head, and I am very happy to be here today with our great alumni and with our prospective alumni. So looking forward to hearing the back and forth. And anyway, hi, everyone.
Thank you. Becky?
Hi, I'm Becky Stillwell. I'm the academic advisor in civil and environmental engineering, and I've been in the department since 2005 and advising for the last 10 years. So Christine Dahl and Liz on this call were undergraduates during my time in civil engineering. So I recognize a few faces. So anyway, if you have any academic questions during this time, hopefully we should be able to answer that for you. Thank you.
And last but not least, John.
Yeah, now I can speak. John Popovich, I'm professor here in the CE department. I've been here about 20 years. And now I'm also the associate head and director of undergraduate studies. So I'm here just to watch and listen and let the panel do their thing. Welcome, everyone.
Fantastic. Also a reminder for all of you that are on the call, we're going to start with kind of some preset questions just to kind of get the conversation started. But if at any time you have a question that you would like the panelists or our staff to answer, please click the chat down below. You can type it in. We will either respond to you via the chat or we'll actually talk about it during the discussion. So we'll go ahead and get started. Alumni, as I ask questions, just feel free to unmute yourself and answer as you want. I'm not going to call on anybody. So nobody fight, just, one at a time. But the first question we're going to start with is, if you had to name just one thing you gained from your education in the CEE at Illinois that has most benefited you in your career, what would you name?
Access to research and really the best facilities that there are. It really opened my eyes to have exposure to the state-of-the-art facilities that exist at Illinois, but also the ability to really be able to pursue something that I did not even thought I could do. I thought as a civil engineer, I was just going to be building a house and that's it. And yeah, I could have done that. I could still do it, but there is so much more than that. It is so beautiful. And I would say to this prospective alumni, not only students, please try to be ambitious and take advantage of this amazing opportunity that you'll be given with.
I would say for myself, I didn't do much research while I was at the University of Illinois, but in general, I would say just the well-rounded education I received. You pretty much learn the fundamentals of every discipline of civil engineering. And it's imperative to the nature of my work because I work on construction projects in the utility industry and the energy industry, commercial, highways, you name it. And we provide expert consulting services on a variety of those things. And so, Illinois prepared me for the fundamentals of construction scheduling, steel, concrete, soils, which really just apply to what I do now. And I rely on it every single day. So I'm very grateful for that well-rounded education.
I think one of the things for me that has had the most impact was just the diverse group of people that was in the CE department. And getting to work with a wide variety of students, from all over the country, all over the world. And as, somebody that works for a global company, getting to, interface with a variety of people has been something that I think U of I prepared me well for.
Besides the education aspect of and the quality of the education, the one thing I gained, which was tremendous support for me personally, was the network of fellow alumni and Illini that I would run into, especially, I stayed in the state, but it applied whether I was doing projects out of state. There are so many fellow Illini in the industry that became a familiar and familial type of relationship that you would have. I mean, you can get a door open because it was another alumni you were talking to on a project, on an issue, on a policy. And that was a tremendous support for my career.
I mean, I could reiterate what you all are saying. I mean, the education, the well-roundedness for sure, the implementation of the business skills and things that I also got. But in addition to the education, I feel like the extracurricular activities also helped me. I became pretty involved in ASCE when I was there, and I ended up being president of the student chapter, and that was a wonderful experience, and it exposed me to lots of different professionals in the area. We had, guest speakers come, and I got to go out to have dinner with them and meet them. And, it led to some internship opportunities and just some networking that I didn't think I would have as a student. And then it continued, as John said, upon graduation, just having all these alumni and having all these networks. I just feel like it just benefits you in so many different ways.
Thank you, everyone. The next question actually goes kind of hand in hand with the question that David had asked in the chat. He wanted to know how much do undergrad specializations affect the jobs you get? In conjunction to that, I also kind of want everyone to talk a little bit about what advice can you give to students who are interested in engineering, but are maybe not 100% sold on civil and environmental engineering. You guys can talk a little bit about that.
I'm going to start this one off only because I'll give you my own experience. And I wrote about this in the Alumni magazine a couple of years ago. My older brother, I shouldn't say, he's an older brother, but I have several. He went into civil engineering as well. And not that I followed his footsteps, but he was a good mentor for me. So when I went down to U of I didn't want to be exactly like Big Brother. So I said, I'm going to go into general engineering. I didn't know what it was, but it sounded general, right? So I'm going to do that. And I quickly realized that's not where I want to be. Civil engineering is just too cool not to want to be in civil engineering. And that's the article I wrote about because I thought think about it. You can see things, you can touch them. You can see a bridge that you may have worked on. You can talk about a roadway that you rode on or that you helped design. And I have spent my career in that arena, and all three of my kids, they didn't go into engineering, but they know exactly the projects that Dad worked on because they can drive them, they can see them, and sometimes they complain about them as well. But that's the beauty of civil engineering. It's public works for the world. It's public works for things that you do and need every day in your life. So to me, there was no debate. Once I got down to the U of I, it was civil engineering all the way.
I think for myself, I can relate to, not being 100% sold on civil and environmental engineering. I think I kind of just picked it because architecture and design interested me, but, I wanted a slightly more technical discipline in general. And I guess to be a little responsive to the panelist question about, how do the disciplines you choose, how important are they? I would say it depends on what field you go into, because if you are really interested in structural engineering, that's pretty much a pretty significant, you need to typically get your master's to be a structural engineer. But I just have a bachelor's degree and I work in consulting. So it kind of depends. But, I guess back to the main question, kind of as you learn, because you've received such a well-rounded education at Illinois, as you learn about structures, soil, transportation, you'll have more, you'll get a better sense of what actually interests you. And ultimately, you'll realize, again, how much everything civil engineers, what impact they have on the world. Everything you pretty much do or see on a daily basis was touched by a civil engineer, whether it's, the roads we drive on, the electricity we use had to be built by somebody with the power plants were built by somebody with a civil engineering or construction background. So I think it's just really that full circle moment and importance of the civil engineer's role in society that ultimately really intrigued me.
I think that's a great point what Christine just explained. I've always defined that civil engineering, and this is the way that I see it, is the engineer that really serves the people, right? We're civil, now also environmental, right? So we're looking at what is around us. We're able to deal with the built environment, with the natural environment and make it work for us. We are responsible to make sure that everyone is able to go to their job, to go to school. So I think that it's the coolest kind of engineering there is. Also, it does allow us to, if we are not sure that perhaps this is the route we want to take, it does allow us to kind of flirt a little with other areas. Because I mean, you hear the example from Christine, she's working in construction litigation. I'm working in a bank. Does that make it like even sense? It does not, but it does. You could do anything as a civil engineer. And I think this is one of the beauties of this field. And as it was mentioned during this discussion and the one before, CEE at Illinois, it's such a well-rounded program that you do get exposure to every single field. And then you will decide, okay, I like structures, I like roads, I like water and sanitation, whatever field you want to get into, you can keep exploring. And I don't think it stops when you finish your undergrad. There's advanced degrees that you can pursue. You can pursue a master's degree, perhaps you can pursue a doctoral degree. And all of this is going to really help you to get into that thing that makes you passionate about. I personally, I was passionate for like earthquake engineering more than anything else. And this is why I went to Illinois, because to me, they're an authority in that field. And I'm really happy with that decision because it's like a full circle. Now I'm working and making sure that infrastructure is built in the developing countries, making sure that earthquakes are not destructing infrastructure at a policy level. So that's something really cool.
Okay, we'll move on to the next question. A question here, again, it kind of goes, two panel questions that were listed in the chat kind of go hand in hand. The first one is, do you feel a bachelor's engineering degree is enough for the job market, or is it necessary to obtain an advanced degree? But then in addition to that, from a professional perspective, do you think it's more impactful? What is more impactful, where you received your undergraduate degree or where you receive your graduate degree?
I can at least speak to the just a bachelor's degree perspective. I don't have my master's degree in civil engineering, and I was mostly interested in construction management type roles and consulting, or things in the consulting industry. And I had a number of job offers after graduation in both of those fields. There's also, I know a number of, more technical fields, civil engineering services where you don't, a master's degree is not required. But maybe some of the other panelists can speak to some of the more higher level degrees and what fields you might need that for.
I would jump into the second part of the question. I feel like it wouldn't make sense for me to make a baseball joke because I'm not good at baseball, but as a Dominican, I feel like I have to. So Illinois is like the major leagues. So whether you went there at the beginning or at the end, you still went to the major leagues. So that's what I would say. I feel that whether you ended up going to major leagues and then deciding to leave it there or just go to minor leagues, it's up to you. But it does make an impact being alumni of this wonderful place. I think John reflected earlier on the importance of the network. There's been so many times where I've been trying to connect with someone and I don't find a way, and then go into their LinkedIn and I'm like, oh yes, they went to Illinois. So I can really break the ice that way. It does make a difference being part of this program. So it's really up to you on what you're looking for in a career. And the very best step is just start it in Illinois.
Yeah, I mean, I received both my bachelor's and master's at Illinois, but just from a lot of my friends that only received a bachelor's, I mean, everyone that I knew did very well and were able to find very prosperous careers. So, I think a bachelor's degree is still, sufficient to do very well in the job market. And I think it's just a preference in terms of, kind of what you're looking for in your in your career. If, you know, as Christine mentioned, if you're looking to maybe be a little bit more technical, then, you know, getting a master's degree may be beneficial. I chose to get a master's degree just because I was really intrigued by the global leaders in construction management program and some of the things it offered, in terms of being able to, you know, kind of understand construction management at a, you know, deeper level, and getting to, you know, look into kind of things from a global perspective. So it was really a preference and not something that I felt like I had to do in order to, you know, be successful in the job market.
Yeah, I feel like in my job here and in what I do with my coworkers and my other consultants I work with in our projects, you know, designing the roads and the bridges, you know, like somebody likes who does structures, that's very, you know, specialized, highly technical. A master's degree, yeah, could be a little bit more important for those types of roles. But for me, I was ready to get to work. I had several job offers after I graduated as well. And I felt like it depends on how specialized you want to be. And if you want to do anything with research, or, you know, getting on the cutting edge of something innovative or something new technology, then that might make more sense. So like, kind of like Liz says, it's sort of a preference. I don't think it's necessarily a requirement.
I guess one key thing I'll add to this discussion is you don't need a master's degree to become a professional engineer in whatever state you're living in. So I'm a PE. It's kind of like the equivalent to CPA, but in the engineering world. So I'm a PE in Illinois. You know, so that's just also another key, you know, component. You don't need a master's degree to get that license.
Christine brought up a really valuable point about the PE license. And I know that's years ahead for a student that might be just getting into the, into the university. But becoming a PE is critical, taking the exam and passing it. And that's one thing that the U of I does extremely well. I know we had at our board meeting recently, it came up about the passing percentage. I don't remember what it is off the top. It was very high. I mean, it's well above many of our other university counterparts, if you will, across the state and across this region. So that's the one thing, beyond the many other things the U of I does well. It prepares you for a career well into the future. And all I have is a bachelor's degree. Sometimes I wish I had stayed for my master's degree, but it was time to be on my way back in the 70s. And you know, it's been a great career, and the University of Illinois has certainly been a major part of it.
Yeah, and just from the academic side, as an advisor, we have like about 165 students graduating this May, and you know, we'll have probably, you know, we'll have X amount that will go on to grad school. We'll have several that have jobs already and lined up and ready to go. I've already talked to seniors, you know, so it's really just a personal choice. Sometimes I know, like mentioned, structures is a little bit more almost required type thing. So we do have several of our own students who are currently graduating who also go on to the master's degree here at U of I. We have a professional program, 1-year program that students can apply to. So that's just based upon your GPA, and that can be for any area, not just structural engineering. So there are a lot of great opportunities, just as the alum had mentioned, and we have a lot of great students who with bachelor's degree are leaving and starting in excellent jobs with having that with having the degree from civil engineering, and with having over 15,000 alum, it certainly puts students in a good place.
Thank you, everyone. I feel like that was a really good discussion about undergrad, grad. The next question is, did you find that having a degree from CEE at Illinois helped when you were looking for a job in terms of getting your foot in the door?
100%. I actually learned a trick. And it was what I was saying before, going to LinkedIn and kind of seeing around, there's a company that you're interested in, and finding a contact or two and putting in the subject, soon to be CEE at Illinois graduate looking for a job. And I did get a lot of responses, and I noted that before I was not putting that subject, I would not get the attention. I think there is a big culture in the alumni into helping each other to get through the door. So I would say that it does make a difference. And beyond that, even in other cases where perhaps I did not use that technique, whenever I'll be in the middle of an interview and people will have the resume in front of them. Oh, you went to U of I, that's very impressive. And they would ask like, oh, is it hard? Like, because we do have a reputation that it's a really, really competitive program. So people are like, well, this person must be qualified. So it does make a difference in my experience.
I guess just to emphasize what Guillermo just said, I have the same company since I graduated my job from the U of I career fair, but I mean, it's one of the most highly respected universities for an engineering program in the world. Not talking even the country, it's like the world. And people, when you tell you're a civil engineering graduate from the University of Illinois, everybody's like, oh, wow, it's got the caliber for a reason, for all the reasons we're talking through today.
Anybody else want to talk to that question? Or should we continue on? Okay. All right. Let's see. Oh, this is a great one. Are there any programs or events that are designed to help students or new graduates connect with alumni to take advantage of the large alumni network?
Which of you young engineering division stalwarts want to jump in on this one?
I can certainly jump in because I'm the networking chair of the Young Engineers Division of the Alumni Association. So the CEE Alumni Association hosts a number of events each year for alumni to connect. So, the organization as a whole, there's an annual dinner typically. We have like a beer tasting event when you're of age. There's a golf outing event. So it's super fun to connect with alumni, old and new, at these events. But also recently, there's a Young Engineers Division of the Alumni Association that has been founded. And this Young Engineers Division has a networking committee where, in a non-pandemic world, we would plan events for alumni who are age 35 and under, again, just to help establish a network at a younger age that you can continue to, that you can continue through your professional career.
And to add to that, I am actually leading the Mentorship Committee within the Younger Engineering Division. And what we do is that we connect recent alumni with a little more seasoned, experienced alumni with the intention that we are able to have this continued relationship right after you graduate so that you're able to keep growing and keep essentially adding to your network. It is very important to having that network, whether you are planning to, let's say, change careers or even like stay within your same path. It is very important to try to have that mentorship relationship with those that are more senior, so you can learn whatever skills you would like to enhance, whether it is management or with your time and work, or just project management, or how do I prepare to be a professional engineer. So I think the Young Engineering Division is something that really adds value to what you get after graduating. Beyond that, there's a few other committees that exist that essentially we all work together to make sure that young alumni continue their relationship with Illinois for the long term.
Yeah, to add on just a little bit more information about that Young Engineers Division, or the YED, which is what we call it. In addition to the networking committee and the mentorship committee, we also have a scholarship committee because this group and our board are very passionate about helping our students with tuition, helping them with scholarships, making sure that those that do choose to come to the U of I are supported as much as they can financially. We also have a professional development committee as part of the YED. And as everyone on the panel was discussing earlier about their PE license, this committee helps our new alumni get prepared for that. So not only have you gotten your foundation with your well-rounded education, but this YED group is going to help you maintain your professional development and help you get connected to other professional groups that might be helpful for you in your career and moving forward. So the YED is in its second full year, and we are starting to see some amazing things. And actually, we are getting ready to open it up, applications for some new alumni to join that group. So we're hoping that some of our May graduates will be joining this kind of bridge into their new life as an alumni. So it's exciting stuff. All right.
And let me just add one more thing, Keely. Most of the events, because the largest group of alumni are in the Illinois area and typically Chicago, many of our activities are in this area, but it doesn't stop there. I mean, we have reached out to other parts of the state. We have reached across into the St. Louis area. And I know, and Keely helped me out here, I know that there are groups scattered across the country that are CEE centric. And that helps to keep that bond between the department and the various alumni groups, not just across the country, but typically across the world as well.
Yeah, I think that the New York City chapter, for example, is very active. I can tell that I was in New York City for almost 6-7 years, and we did have at least 2 or 3 events every year. So I can testify to that. That is not Illinois centric. I mean, yeah, to some extent, a lot of the alumni are there, but it extends beyond even the US. I mean, I'm from the Dominican Republic, and actually we have an informal mini club of civil and environmental engineers that are in the Dominican Republic. And anytime that I visit, we do have a gathering, get together informally.
Yes, we have some great, fairly large pockets of alumni all over the world. Pre-COVID, I was starting to really narrow into some of those pockets so that we could start doing some more departmental outreach in those areas. Hopefully we'll get into those spaces once things are back to normal, or as normal as they can get. Marco asked a question on the chat. It says, how close do undergraduates get to the UIUC faculty in their upper division classes? Also, which competition clubs do you recommend?
I can talk about competition clubs, and then someone else would have to jump on the other question. Well, I think Keely has a good example right behind her. The concrete canoe, it's a great, yeah, there you go. It's a great, it's essentially hosted by the American Society of Civil Engineers. So that's something very popular. It's very competitive. And I'm going to advocate for one that is a little less, I guess, popular, but it's my passion. So the Earthquake Engineering Research Institute has a chapter in Illinois, and they compete every year in the design of a building to resist 3 earthquakes. And these are undergrads doing the work, essentially guided by a graduate student, whether a PhD or a master's. And they have to build this building and test it in the shaking table. And then they have to transport it pre-COVID and hopefully post-COVID, transport it to wherever the conference is taking place. And then be in the most amazing competition I've ever seen in my life. The joy and the excitement is worth it. I mean, whether you win or not, trust me, it is something you want to get involved with. Earthquake Engineering Research Institute, do it.
I guess for the closeness to faculty question, in my experience, you know, and I think there may have been some questions answered in the chat about how your class size maybe changes over the years, but I found the most helpful way to connect with your professors if you are in a larger class was to go to office hours. It pretty much made what was a 100-person class a one-on-one class, or with the, you know, it might be with the faculty itself or with a teacher's assistant. But, you know, I would say that, you know, all the faculty really care about the students, and anytime I needed to meet with somebody because I wasn't understanding something or, you know, needed help, you know, the access was always there.
I'm going to drop the link in our chat for our student organizations. We have probably 20 to 30 within our department, some of which have been mentioned, but on our website, we have several that have done a little 2-minute video with current students and just talks about exactly what those organizations do. So if you have a little time, you might just want to take a look at that to learn a little bit more about some of those organizations that were not mentioned.
Fantastic. Another question in the chat, which I think is a great question. Where is the greatest growth in civil engineering?
Well, since I'm a transportation guy, I want to speak about transportation and the growth in transportation. If you pay attention to politics, you know, you're hearing a lot about what's going on in Washington in terms of an infrastructure bill. That speaks highly for the transportation arena in and around this area. The state of Illinois passed their own infrastructure bill 2 years ago. So that has done wonders for the IDOT program here in the state of Illinois, but it's not just Illinois. I mean, you look across the country and every state has done something because infrastructure is an important component of everyday living. And so they have to keep that situation on a positive, locally, statewide, and on the federal side as well. So in my opinion, it's transportation structures and things of that nature.
I'll agree with you, John. I can't speak to the other disciplines so much, but I do know our industry in transportation is booming. As you said, we've been busy through the COVID. You know, there's been some challenges, you know, working from home and all that sort of thing, but we figured it out, and we've been busy. We were still getting new clients, keeping our old clients, and there's lots of opportunities for students with internships and full-time positions upon graduation. There'll be a big need. In fact, we need to hire in our office, so I need to get on that pretty quick. So I just think there's lots of opportunities for transportation. I think it's going to be that way for quite some time. Because the more roads you build and the more bridges you build, you got to maintain them. So it's not going away.
And I guess I'll just add from a, you know, construction standpoint, I can see probably 3 to 4 tower cranes just from my bedroom window on any given day. So, you know, and throughout this past year, so it's definitely continues to be a booming industry with all the new high rises, new headquarters being built, CTA, or I guess I'm in Chicago, but all the CTA renovations being done. So continues to be a booming industry, I would say.
Anna or John, did either one of you want to add anything to that as far as kind of where the future of CEE is going, and you know, what is maybe some of the more growing specializations that you know of?
Yeah, I actually was taking notes and thinking, where are our environmental alumni and our water alumni and our geotech alumni? Okay, so 2 things that I wanted to say. You may not be aware of this, but CEE in Illinois is probably the department in the country that has the largest number of alumni who were elected to the National Academy of Engineering. And what that means is that these are leaders who are basically starting new fields and doing completely new things, right? Just this year, 2 of them were in environmental engineering, right? And so the opportunity there is in technology, right? At the boundary between chemistry and biology and math and and so on. So the opportunities are really so many there that you're going to, the future, you'll be making the future, right? And if you have an open mind, that will actually lead you to unexpected places, I think. But in terms of new areas, for example, artificial intelligence, when you think about data science and computing in engineering across all disciplines is really, really important. Materials, which is the area of Professor Popovich here, but that's a huge, growing area because there's all kinds of new materials being, really designed, and so we're getting into a whole new era in terms of what buildings will look like and surfaces will look like in the future and so on. 3D printing is out there, how we're looking at things is completely different. The environmental area, as I said, is really into high tech and everything about the environment, right? So one of our faculty, for example, in the water resources area has just mapped all the food flows, right? How the food supply in the country. That's amazing. Think about that, right? So we have insights into everything that's quality of life. So I think depending on what you're interested in, I'm very confident to say that you will not have a problem finding a job, and a very rewarding job, I think. John, go ahead.
Okay, I'll just briefly support what Anna said. We are we are addressing the world's challenges. All the biggest world challenges are done by civil engineers: water quality, sustainable transport, quality of life, safety, and resiliency. But we're not, and we have to do, and John and Kim mentioned the booming nature of transportation. It's true, but we're not just doing the same old bridges and so on. Of course, we can all do that, but here at Illinois, we're taking the lead. It's not just transportation; it's autonomous vehicles. We have research there. We are leading in that, and not only the vehicles, but how do you redesign all the infrastructure for what will be an autonomous fleet of the future? We are doing that, and think about smart structures, covering structures, not just the same old structure, but now it has sensors and it's telling us when it's unhealthy. And both of these things required massive, massive amounts of data. And at Illinois, we're not ready to hand that job to the computer science majors. We will handle it. And because there is no one better at handling problems in their own discipline than the person who's been trained in the discipline. So we're integrating data science and computing and all of these things to all of our disciplines so that we can be the leaders and still build all the infrastructure, but also incorporate and develop the latest technology.
All right, I'm signing up. I'm gonna go to school here. I'm so excited. All right. John, thank you for mentioning a little bit more about data science. Would you take a moment real quick and talk about the new data science certificate that we've just created for our undergrads?
Yeah, sure. Just to kind of support what I just said, that we are not standing to the sidelines and handing off the job to someone else. We have developed and offering a certificate in data science at the undergraduate level starting right now. And so if you come here and you take 2 extra classes in addition to 2 fundamental classes, then you get the certificate. And the classes deal with handling large amounts of data, machine learning and artificial intelligence, and then sensing and sensor networks. So we're really excited about that because, again, we feel that if our students can handle that, they can learn it. And then because they are from the discipline, they are the best person to interpret the data and make decisions about it. So we're really excited about that. And I hope some of you take the challenge and take those courses and get that certificate. And we're also having one at the graduate level too.
You see, now I want to go back to school. I wish that existed when I was there. My research was in instructor health monitoring. So this is right up my alley. This is so cool. So excited to hear this.
You can sign up, Guillermo. There's no stopping you.
It's true. That is very true.
All right, we're getting really short on time. I just wanted to quickly let any prospective students and or parents that are on the call know that in addition to all the amazing education that is offered here and the amazing alumni that supports you when you're gone, we also have a very robust career readiness that helps you while you're here on campus, help you find those internships. We bring companies to our building twice a year for a job fair. In the fall, our alumni and companies that are hiring our students come and help do what's called a backpack to briefcase series every fall. And it helps you figure out how to do your resume, how to prepare yourself for an interview, how to negotiate your salary and your benefits. And then, you know, what does it look like your first day on the job? So we really make sure from the moment you step on campus to the day you graduate, we're supporting you in all things. Education, career path, and then of course we've got that great alumni base to support you in your entire career once you've graduated. So if you guys have any other questions, please throw them in the chat. If we don't get around to answering it, I can actually send the question out to my alumni panel and then can email you the answers back. I'm going to go ahead and put my email in the chat. And you guys can feel free to contact me anytime with any additional questions that you might have about our alumni or anything that goes on in the department. And if I can't answer it, I will make sure that the person who knows the answers will get back to you. So unless anybody has anything else, I thank you all so much for taking your time this evening. And I really hope that we get to see you guys on campus.
I think I'll